Hello, hello.
Hello.
Y'all ready to eat some cheese?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like barely in. I don't know if you want to be out or in.
Well, let me
It's way
check.
wider than.
Because then there's the close-up. See, that's pretty
that's
centered
perfect.
there. And then we got ours. There we go.
That's me.
So if we're looking that way, she's like, okay. I was making sure I didn't have it like flip. You just look at us.
Okay.
And we'll be good to go.
Okay.
And then I got the cheese camera.
Oh, I like that.
So you can just ignore the TV if you want. And
Okay.
we can just hang out and eat some cheese.
If anybody's watching has any questions, you can comment them in the chat, or there's a number you can text us or call us, or I don't know.
I've set up so people can call in and we can hear them and talk, but I haven't done it yet, so we'll see. Are we looking at drinks first, cheese first?
I'll open this. Alicia! Nivy.
I'm gonna check the volumes. They look like they're pretty good. I'll turn us up a little.
So I'm Lauren, this is Alex, and we've got Maggie with Truckle.
Hello.
Truckle Cheesemonger, if you don't know what it is, it's a cheese shop down in Scott's Addition, and it's inside of Bluebee. And if you've never been, you should, because it's amazing.
So
Some of the
good.
best grilled cheeses I've ever had.
Thank you.
Where do you get your cornichons?
I get them from a distributor.
Are you
in
talking about the
these
gherkins?
Yes.
enormous cans?
Do you?
Yeah, I love
They're
them.
really good. I
Yeah.
know, I do too. I rediscovered my love for them probably this
From
summer
one of
when
your
we were having
packs.
a grilled
Okay.
cheese or something. Yeah, and then they came with one of the packs, and oh, it was so good.
Yeah, I love them, and I don't know, they're great with a grilled cheese.
They are. They are, and it's like just enough pickle to satisfy
Yeah.
what you didn't know you needed. But
I feel like having that little bit of acid with a lot of creamy, heavy stuff really sort of helps your palate. Big picture.
that makes sense. Is that why you like drink wine with cheese?
Yeah.
The acid versus.
Or if you're doing beer with cheese, the carbonation helps clean off your tongue.
Oh.
So beer and cheese is actually sort of a more natural pairing in a lot of
Wow.
ways than wine.
Well, cider is very carbonated.
I like all of that.
So
Yep.
we've got plenty of that available.
Yeah.
And then for anyone who doesn't really know what's going on yet, Truckle Cheesemonger does a cheese, and now they do a butter box every month. So it's like a curated box of different cheeses and now butters and different accoutrements. And we're here to try the February one, eat it, talk about it, and then, I don't know, see what else everyone's been up to. I don't know if it's just something I bring up a lot, but in your emails you always say, like, what are you watching on Netflix
Yeah.
now? So
Have you gotten some great?
we can get off topic if you'd like to.
Yeah.
Have you gotten great suggestions from that?
People usually don't want to tell me what they're watching, but
Are they
some-
embarrassed?
I don't know. Like
Real
Like
Housewives.
they don't want to tell you, or they just don't reply and say anything.
most people don't reply.
Right.
But like early pandemic, I had it was mostly older people, like older single people, and they would call under the guise of cheese, but they really just wanted to talk to somebody. So I felt like for a little while it was sort of like my extra vocation, just like talk to, like people in nursing homes would call and
Oh, I get it.
but
Yeah.
it was like, can you tell me about this cheese? And then we'd talk for 20 minutes about something else. So, but I like to throw it out there because sometimes somebody just
Absolutely.
needs an ear,
Absolutely. I work with older folks, and they're awesome to talk to. That's cool. That's cool.
Alicia, I grabbed this because I already had it open, and I didn't know what cheese. They're making fun of me for drinking a White Claw.
Well, she
we have all
asked
this-
what's everybody's drinking, and I don't know what.
We have like
in
a
all the cups
flight of
Yeah.
things.
Talk about it.
I'll
I'll move my White Claw.
Maggie brought, it looks like, some beer and wine, and then I poured out, or not poured out, but
Served.
served a couple of our ciders that I make. We got the blueberry and the Buddha juice. We can do more, but I think we have plenty.
Yeah. So, and I brought a brown ale from Ale Works and then also an Albarino since we have 2 Spanish cheeses. I thought that would be fun to try too.
What are you guys drinking?
Who's eating cheese? Who's eating this cheese? Is what I really want to know.
Yeah. Does anybody else have the
Did
box?
you get the box and you're like waiting to eat it with us? Because that was my hopes that someone would do that.
We did have a couple people stop in and just pick up, so maybe, I don't know if it
Cool.
was related to this or not, but.
Well, I am
hurt.
going to give away a cheese and butter box later. You might see scrolling across the bottom.
To the same person, or is it going to be one and one?
I figured, yeah, but I don't know.
Oh no, I was just curious.
Well, we can do whatever we want because I'm buying it. So. I think Maggie might said she wants to throw in on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you don't have to.
Yeah, I'll throw in.
Text cheese to our number, just the
804.
word cheese, 804-223-2032 to enter, and we'll raffle it off in like 30 minutes or something.
It's like cheese talk, like car talk, but people will call in.
People
with,
call
like,
in,
cheese
they're like-
problems.
What other problems would there be outside of just getting like moldy?
I'm
My cheese is moldy.
brainstorming right now. Lindsay
Or-
said her 11-year-old and her are watching for the cheese.
Cute.
Oh, that's fun.
We can zoom in on some cheese.
Hmm.
I guess it would be more of like you're making cheese and you're having problems making cheese. That might be more of a troubleshooting styled.
Yeah. Or like if you need recipe help, sometimes people call and they'll say, my recipe calls for
Oh.
this.
What can I substitute?
Right, if you don't have this, what could we use?
Oh my gosh,
instead?
because I'm
Which
always
is
the
fun.
one in the aisle at the grocery store being like, oh, I don't know, what can I substitute it with?
I did have these two guys call me like a month ago, and it was late. It was probably like 9:30, 10. I don't know why I picked up, but they called and they had been enjoying themselves, and they wanted to know what the manliest cheese that we had in the shop was, and it was, I don't know, the most
What
random.
did you tell them?
I listed what I gave them something, and they said no, it had to be American, and so then we ended up with a Vermont cheddar, and they seemed satisfied. But it was
Buy
like,
it? Or
No,
they
they
just
just
wanted
wanted
to
to,
know.
like,
They had
I-
a bet going.
I think they just were on some substances and got into a deep cheese discussion.
So someone asked that cheese pairings are common, but are there recommended butter pairings?
So, I mean, yes. So I think butter is more versatile because you can use it in so many things. But like I chose for this one, this really nice, this is probably my favorite new butter I've tasted in a really long time. This Irish butter with the lavender honey, because just the salt with the sweetness and the honey has a little bit of like a spicy note from the wild lavender. Works together, but yeah, you sort of can't go wrong if you're adding butter to something else. Like last month we did butter with a heritage breed salami, which was great. Just to, I mean, if you're eating salami, you just put a little dab of butter on there.
Put a dab of
Well, I
butter
remember
on everything.
eating it, yeah. And the last one was not a small portion of butter. It was like a big chunk of
Yeah.
butter.
Yeah. So anyway,
I'm getting
but
hungry. Like,
yeah. Do you want to
do you
talk
have
cheese?
an order
let's
you
talk.
normally recommend for trying, like most
Yes.
mild to least mild or something?
Right. So usually, I think we do the one with the rosemary last, just because it's got so much going on. So I'll sort of say what everything is, and then we can get a little more in depth. But this is the headliner this month. This is
The headliner, I love that.
Mahone Curado, and it's DOP, so it's protected and has to live up to higher standards.
What does
than-
DOP mean?
It's just the country protection, so it has to come, like this cheese has to be made on the island of Menorca, which is off the coast of Spain. And it has to be raw milk, and sort of across Europe there are different laws for every protected cheese. There's sort of a greater umbrella of protected European cheeses, and then each country has their own protection, so it's sort of a double layer, which is
Interesting.
totally foreign to us.
Is that like how like champagne can only come from that one
Yes.
little region type thing? It's the same. I had no
Right.
idea that existed in any other
Yeah.
realm of the universe.
It's a huge deal in European cheeses, and there's a current fight going on with the Gruyere producers.
Uh-oh.
It was in the paper a few weeks ago, but they want Gruyere only to be made by their standards.
I
to
heard
be
about that
called
on the
Gruyere.
radio. It's like
And-
champagne
Yeah.
is sparkling wine made in Champagne, France. So
Yes,
they
I
want.
just said that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I'm running the cameras, so I can't always hear 100% of things.
So anyway, the protections are a big deal, and I'm in favor of them because I think it speaks to how the Europeans really are passionate about protecting their agricultural products with cheese and wine, and
Yeah, the quality and the standards are so
right.
high that they don't want anybody to like muddy the waters or even.
Right, and it represents what the cheese is meant to taste like. Which, if any Joe Schmo is making something and calling it Gruyere, then it's not. But the American fight is, well, it shouldn't be protected because it's such a recognizable name that it doesn't mean anything. But
Leave it to Americans to think they can do
I
it
know.
just as good.
So I'm always on the European side on that fight. So anyway, so this cheese is, it's raw milk. It's this island of Minorca has been known to have been making cheese since 5000 BC. So it used to be called the Island of Cattle because they were so well known for making cheese. And then this cheese has been made since at least the 5th century. I think the first mention of it was in 417.
The style or that like dairy?
The style, but the DOP. So it's on a small little island.
I feel like you've answered this before. I know I've asked it before, but I forgot the answer. Raw milk is not legal in the U.S. So what is the workaround for raw milk?
For cheese
So-
in the U.S.?
So raw milk raw milk cheese has to be 60 days old at the time it's distributed for sale. So the workaround with fluid milk in the States is to do a cow share.
Right.
So if you're saying, I'm not buying it, I bought part of
Right.
1/20th of
I
a
looked
cow.
into that when I briefly made my own cheese.
Yeah,
Not easy.
Correct.
Makes you appreciate all this.
absolutely.
Also, raw milk's kind of scary.
It can be if the people who are gathering the raw, if they don't know what they're doing, then
Right.
it is scary.
Right.
Which I think is what the FDA is thinking, and I understand that. But if people know what they're doing, then it's not
Right.
it's not a problem. So, and a lot of the cow shares that I've heard of locally do testing every single batch of milk to sort of guarantee that
Yeah.
it's safer.
That's good.
Yeah. So they're doing their part, but they're doing it the right way.
Right.
Where I've been to farmers markets in Richmond and I've seen
They like open up their igloo cooler.
fresh raw milk cheeses, and I feel like that's the kind of stuff that's just going to
That's
get
what gets you in
everybody in
trouble.
trouble. Because if they don't know what they're doing, then it brings scrutiny on the whole industry.
One bad apple
Yep.
ruins the whole bunch.
Flavors your
fruit-
cider. It makes you
No,
cider.
no, it won't. It will flavor your cider unfavorably.
Why don't we taste this guy?
The headliner.
The headline.
Normally the headliner's last, but I like that they're first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in a concert.
Like Valentine's Day,
The best
which we
for
did
last.
yesterday, we eat dessert first.
Because normally,
We're too full. Oh, thank you.
normally we can never eat dessert anytime we go out because we're too full.
Yeah.
So somehow along the last 13 years, it became our Valentine's tradition.
Oh, I like that.
So we always do dessert first, and then we probably never order dessert at restaurants very often.
I love this cheese so much.
It's good. I feel like we don't often get like hard cheeses like this, or like I guess we get hard cheeses in the boxes, but I don't know. This is just more stronger, cheddary.
Bold,
Yeah, yeah.
concentrated, but not like too much flavor.
It was really
Yeah.
good.
I think the salt on this is perfect. So also, if you see the whole wheel, they come in these funny square shapes, and you can see where they've been bagged in cheesecloth. So they, after they drain the whey, they put them in cheesecloth and tie it up, and then age it that way. So it still has the imprints, which you can see a little
I
bit.
love that. Yeah.
And then they also rub it with olive oil and paprika while it's aging to protect the rind. So traditionally, it would also protect from insects that may fly into the aging room. But I mean, that shouldn't be an issue now. But anyway, so it has this really nice rind. With this one has a little bit of that nice white mold on it. But
And you always eat the rind, right? Or you at least try
Well,
it.
depends on the cheese.
It does
I
depend on
remember
the
from
cheese. Yeah.
Last time.
so so this rind you could
I dropped a piece.
5
of my
second
rind. It's
rule.
okay. I already ate a piece.
You
It
could
tastes
absolutely eat this one.
Incredibly different. Like I know it concentrates
After
the
you drop
flavors. No, from the cheese to the rind. It was like night and day.
Night and day. It's like evening
It's like
and
dusk
dawn.
and dusk. It's like afternoon and dusk.
So the wines for the first one.
Yeah, I think we should taste the wine with both of the Spanish guys. Ooh, I
That's
like
good wine.
that.
That's really good.
That does good things to me. I really like that.
I love when a cheese does that.
What? This makes you happier than anything else can.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I do like this wine.
Do your kids eat the rind?
No. My younger kid is much more adventurous than my older. My older one only eats white cheddar. That's his. The younger one really enjoys charcuterie. That's sort of where his passion is.
Cute.
So, lots of meat. I had to take George, my younger one, to work with me on Sunday morning to get some stuff done, and he wanted to make his own board. So it was just fruit and meat, but everything was spaced out. He had a
That's
a
really
plan
cute.
for it.
Oh,
So
that's
it's meat
sweet.
only,
Yes, just meat and
which I've heard is
berries.
the actual true meaning of charcuterie. Is like
It is.
a meat board, and then people start adding cheese and other stuff.
Yep. I don't know why. It's a thing now, though, because people will say a charcuterie board, but they mean cheese.
They mean like everything, like fruit and like just different accoutrements. Just
But
like,
sometimes they don't mean meat. And you're like, what are you talking about? You have to speak, you know.
I
So
think
they
the
want a
word's
cheese
just-
board or
They
like
want a cheese board, but they think anything that
charcuterie.
is plated is charcuterie. But why not just say cheese?
I think people just don't
Fancy.
know. I didn't know that until I saw TikTok a few months ago.
we get all of our
I learned a
information
lot
from
on
TikTok.
TikTok.
What is the average temperature of the aging room? Does it differ for certain types of cheeses?
It definitely differs. So most of them are, I would say, mid 40s to mid 50s. Firmer cheeses that are going to age for a lot longer can take higher temperature and humidity, but with something soft, it's probably cooler because you want to control different bacterial growth.
You said 30 to 50 degrees
I'd
for
say
the harder ones.
say 40, 45 to 55.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And there's like, does the humidity vary as well?
It does. So it's all of those controls make a huge difference in aging cheese.
Right.
Because if you hit the sweet spot, it's great. If it's too cold, nothing is going to mature. It'll just, so people talk about like, I've had a 5-year Gouda, I've had a 7-year Gouda, but if it's sitting there at 33 degrees, it's basically
It's still
the same age it was when
right.
it's like it's cryogenically frozen. So
Interesting.
yeah. So one of the cheeses that is one of my best sellers is aged. It's a aged Gouda, but they age it at a higher temperature and humidity so that it develops much more quickly.
Right.
But getting to the point where they figured that out had to be a little dicey because if you have a big cheese that's an investment and then
You risk spoiling it
Right.
or, wow. Do Miko's enjoy. Miko, chill.
There's a neighbor dog barking, so they were all outside going crazy. So I closed the dog door. Miko, I don't think this is for you.
Yeah, this is not for you.
You're cute. Come on, come here.
Do you find, so with like the people that specifically make Gruyere or the specific region of stuff, do you find that most of the cheese makers just make one type of cheese? And so they just have their equipment and cheese cave and all that stuff just cater to that one cheese? Or do they make more than one?
So in Europe operates differently than we do. Like for a while in Switzerland, by law, there were only so many Emmentaler producers. There were only so many Gruyere producers.
Like
And
you
then-
had to buy like a license or have like a license almost kind of to do it?
sorta, yeah. And
A
then
license to Gruyere, like a license to kill.
but there were all these laws around it, and so people couldn't experiment and try make new styles. and then all that, there was sort of, and there's got to be a book about it somewhere. It was almost like a Swiss cheese mafia kind of situation. And then finally
New team name.
got busted up, and now there are all these Swiss cheesemakers that are allowed to try new styles. So, like, I don't know if you've had Hollerhocker before. It's a pretty popular. It's got a picture of a creepy little kid. A lot of people dress up as him for Halloween in the cheese world.
I don't think I know.
In the cheese world.
It's a thing. Anyway, so now the Swiss have more freedom to produce different styles of cheese, but
they push the limits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But like if you're a Comté producer, that's what you're going to make.
Right.
But in the States, I mean, most of our, even locally, like say like Caramont outside of Charlottesville, so their kidding season is right now. So all the babies are being born, and then the mothers will be in milk. And so it's spring. That's why we get that beautiful, fresh sort of whipped cream chev that everybody loves. And then that's how they manage the milk at that point. But then because that fresh milk doesn't last forever, so then they make cheeses that can age for longer. So there's sort of a natural life cycle to when you make different types of cheese.
That's so fascinating. I could talk cheese
Forever.
literally forever. This is like the most exciting topic to me. But somebody asked how you started your career or how you got into cheese. I know you've told us before.
Yeah. So I studied abroad in France and took a wine and gastronomy course. And then
Gastronomy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just food.
Yeah.
Cheese of the stars.
That's what I thought you said, but also
That would be sort of amazing.
this cheese is a Libra.
And then after college, I moved to DC and got a 9-to-5 working in trade associations, but then started working in a cheese shop on the side, just on the weekends, and got more and more into it. So,
Which came first, Bluebee or Truckle?
Bluebee's been around, I think, since 2013.
Yeah, they used to be where Basic City was. And we went
I
there.
remember
and we did a
that.
flight. Yeah.
I remember that.
We tried like one of every.
Did you move into the building with them when they moved
No,
over
I think
there?
they moved into Scott's, I think, in 2015, and then we moved in 2019. So where my shop is, it used to be their bottle shop, so they just had bottles. And,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, it was totally different. The walls were just sort of yellowy.
We do some amazing work out of a small little area. Is that all you have, or do you do like stuff elsewhere and like bring it in, or that's
No.
like kind of all of it right there?
It's all of it right there. We do have a couple shelves in there walk-in for storage for back stock, but yeah, it's tight in there. Like if we're working on a big project
Yeah,
or
sometimes I'll see
shipping
like three of you
something,
behind the counter, and it's like as big as this area, like right here.
it's a lot. Or like on a busy Saturday, if we're slammed, there are only so many of us that can work at one time because it's so tight back behind the counter. So,
Well, salary expenses are
yep.
taken care of then. That's fine. I forgot what I was going to ask. I'll think of it.
More cheese.
More
Yeah,
cheese. You want
let's
to try
do
the
it.
next one?
I purposely did not eat dinner, so I'd be
Okay.
even more excited for this cheese.
All right. So this is Grayson. Oops.
That's normally what we do. Anytime we get a cheese box, that just becomes
Our
our dinner. And we eat almost all of it.
It depends.
Well, we usually have like a third or a fourth. If it was just the two of us, that'd be hard, but I'd give it my best shot.
Which one is this?
So this is Grayson. So this is local. It's from Meadow Creek Dairy in Southern Virginia.
Ooh.
So it's like right on the North Carolina border. So they specialize in raw cow's milk cheeses, and they have a real focus on making sure that they have a great diversity in what the cows are eating. So different grasses, different flowers, different herbs, which is sort of cool. And since it's raw milk, that
It's really good though.
all those little flavors come
Miko,
through.
what do you think of the rind?
But this, I mean, these wheels are
She
just super
approves.
buttery and.
Oh, it's so good.
And this is, it's called a washed rind because if you can see they wash it with brine while it's aging. And so some cheeses that are washed, they just wash with brine, which is just, salt water essentially. And then some of them, a lot of Belgian cheeses are washed in beer because they had a lot of monks and they make beer and cheese. And so it's sort of natural to do it.
Sounds delicious.
That's the life.
But the thing that gives it this nice sort of tacky orangey rind is this thing called B. linens or Brevibacterium linens, but it just really thrives on these cheeses and it gives it that sort of funk to it. And it's also found on the human foot, which is why
some people say
so
like
sometimes. So when I do
I
say
wouldn't
that
even-
a cheese tastes like feet, sometimes that
Yep.
makes
True.
sense. Wow.
To me, the funk is very mild.
Do
I've
you
had
think they're-
another one that in one of the boxes that was like foot.
Yeah. So in this one, so also what's interesting about small batch cheeses, I got a wheel of the exact same cheese a couple weeks ago. It was totally different. Totally different. So it just sort of depends what's going on. Some of it is age. Some of it is probably what's going on in the aging room. But the
Right.
rind was totally different. The paste was a different color,
Do
much more intense.
cheesemakers, is that like a good in the cheese world or?
I think it depends. If it's in the middle of an enjoyable spectrum, then it's fine. But there are other cheeses that you'll find you can get from one day to the next day a totally different cheese. Like, especially with a softer cheese, it's much more critical because if you have something that's firm and has some time to age, that's fine. But if I get a case of soft, bloomy cheeses and they're already mush, then I'm probably going to have to throw some out. So that kind of spectrum I don't want because
Right.
I end up losing cheese and
Right.
money. But something like this is just sort of interesting because you're like, I wonder what.
That is interesting.
You
I
know.
mean, yeah, you can't control all the different variables, but I feel like in like the beer world, to make the same batch of beer,
With beer,
people
it's
wouldn't want it to taste different.
Right.
But
beer's
yeah,
more of a closed loop system, or it can be, where you can control almost every variable every time. When you're on like a big scale, like professional, especially like Stone, they have such big machines and so much technology
Right.
there that they can make it like identical every time. They have people looking at the yeast like for every batch. Like it's crazy what they do on a large scale. But even smaller brewers, I know Triple Crossing, they do yeast testing. But as you get smaller, it probably not as much. They'll probably use the same yeast, but there's just less variables you can control when you don't have big expensive equipment.
Mm-hmm.
But I imagine with cheese, because it's aging and it's probably harder to control, especially if it's a smaller craft. What do they
Yeah.
call it?
And if the aging,
Not a dairy,
the
a cheesery. Who makes
Creamery.
Creamery? That's the word.
yeah, and I mean, I'm sure at the cheese cave or whatever, that's what I called it. I mean, yeah, that's another
that-
whole variable of things. Do you eat the rind on this one?
I would. And
Pretty
I want,
much eat it unless it's like hard plastic.
That's wax.
Yeah.
yeah,
Don't eat the wax.
I want to try it with the brown ale too. I wanna try that.
I'll take a little in that tall cup.
And for anyone watching, if you haven't texted us the word cheese to enter for your cheese box, cheese and butter box is worth $80. Text cheese to 804-223-2032 to get entered to the raffle.
Somebody asked, what should a novice cheese buyer look for when selecting a cheese? Just
I
call
think-
Maggie.
Yeah, I think it depends on where you're shopping. So if you come to my shop, we'll let you taste and encourage you to taste whatever you're buying to make sure that
You
that's
like
that's what you like. But regardless of where you are, if you think about a cheese that you do like, and if you're in a place with people who can help guide you to sort of a branch off. So say you love cheddar or you love Gouda, we should be able to help you take that next jump.
Right.
And by tasting before you buy, you make sure that you're going home and you're going to be happy.
I want
So.
the crystals, whatever those are called. I always forget.
Tyrosine.
It's a lot of like hard, like
How do you spell it?
medium to hard cheeses, like a Goudas and such.
Tyrosine. Yeah, so those are the, as the proteins in the cheese start to break down, they form those little crystals. So
And
since
they're
it takes a while, that's why you get it.
amazing.
I know.
Like it adds this whole different level to
It's
the
like an
cheese.
umami. Delicious.
I like the, for lack of a better term, mouthfeel of this cheese. It's like kind of like it's like chewy, like,
like
bubble
soft
gummy,
but firm.
Right. It's like trampoline for my teeth.
Yeah, it's a very fun texture.
Yeah. I love this cheese. And this dairy is probably the most well-known and respected Virginia cheese
Really?
place nationally that's known. Like they win awards and
What's the closest creamery to Richmond?
I'd say the Charlottesville ones. There are a few
Homestead?
in Charlottesville.
Where's the one that's like an hour north? It's not Homestead.
Where I
One you,
used to get
you
the milk.
drove to get the milk.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Is that the one with the nuns? I've heard there are nuns around.
I don't think so. It was like past King's Dominion. I don't really remember.
Do they do ice cream maybe?
Wouldn't that be Homestead?
Homestead does ice cream. This place, I would get the milk to make the cheese, and I think you could buy it at like certain grocery stores. But I was out that way, and I stopped, and it was like it's this farm, but it had this little shack thing, and it's like paved, the honor system.
It was just sitting
Nobody's
there.
there. Yeah, there's like the eggs and the milk and the
Oh, that's sort of fun.
bacon and other stuff, and you just like write down what you took, and you can leave a check or cash.
It was like a little money box.
Yeah, it was cool. But it was
Wow.
very far away, like at least an hour.
She was getting the milk at Libby Market for a while, and this is like years ago.
Yeah.
And then they stopped carrying it, and she was very distraught. So we were seeking out
Okay.
milk. And then we realized it's a pain in the butt, so we'll just.
Yeah.
Then thank God you opened, because we can just buy it now. We don't have to like go looking at Kroger, like trying to figure out. Like,
Right.
Yeah, and then they for the fancy cheese or the fancy milk, they charge you an extra like $3 or $4 because it comes in a glass
You're
Right.
supposed to return
bottle.
it. But then you have to
Hobby
go back.
Hill, maybe. Hobby Hill. I don't know. Yeah, then you have to like return the glass bottle if you want the money back. Yeah,
Yeah.
Just give me the cheese.
I like that one. This was really good.
Okay. Glad y'all liked it. Do you want to talk about the third one?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is albala tierno. So this is another Spanish. This one is sheep's milk. So it's a manchego style. And then once the wheels are made, they rub it with honey and then roll it in lavender or in rosemary. So you get sort of this nice, rich sweetness. So sheep's milk is already sort of sweeter than cow or goat. And sheep also don't produce as much milk. And so the yield is much smaller. It's just sheep's milk is sort of special because it's an
Rarer.
expensive venture to get into. So a lot of people try to sell the wool to,
Counter.
yeah. But I think they may also have a longer gestation period. So all the way around,
Yeah.
It's just
it's more,
more work, which
Yeah.
means more expensive.
yeah,
And less. Yeah.
yeah.
Less
So
milk.
anyway, but last time I had this cheese in, it did really well, and then I love it. And it's one of those, we don't do a ton of flavored cheeses, but it's not really a flavored cheese. It just has a little added oomph going on. But
Well, I made a flavored cider. And
which is
combi-
delicious.
When you order your cheeses, I mean, I'm sure there's certain things where you're like, oh, I probably want this or want that, but otherwise, do you
You haven't
just
had
say,
it since Monday, have you?
do you just say
It's definitely very good.
surprise me, and the guy just kind of brings what he brings or what's available, or
So
you don't have to.
it's never really surprised
I'm not
me.
asking for
but-
secrets. I'm just so curious.
Yeah, no, there are no secrets. Some things distributors will keep in stock sort of the same way I do. Like I usually have, probably 5 to 10 cheeses that you can almost always find in my case. And then I think part of having a healthy cheese program is to have new cheeses coming in all the time.
Right.
Cheese is also really seasonal.
Right.
So some things you can only get in the fall or the spring. So that's sort of an added map. And then also, since the pandemic, a lot of distributors don't want to hold any product that they're not sure they can move. So I do a lot more pre-orders now. So I'll order a cheese today that won't come for another 3 months. Which in a way has been nice because I have a bigger selection from which to choose. Because since I'm going to guarantee that I'm going to buy 50 pounds of it,
Right.
then it's mine when it comes off the boat, which also has its problems. So, full disclosure, this month was supposed to feature Beaufort, which is this gorgeous alpine that's hard to find. I haven't had it in over a decade. I put in a pre-order for it months ago. It was supposed to get here weeks ago.
Supply chain.
It got stuck. It got stuck at the Port of New York. And the FDA has to approve all the pallets that come in. They were slow on that, and then it couldn't get out of the port, and so now I have a lot of Beaufort coming my way. Too late for Cheese Club, but I feel like I can't really wait until March because it's really like Alpine super special. So we're gonna have some sort of Beaufort celebration once it actually gets here, with Beaufort grilled cheeses and bites and nibbles and pieces, and but that's sort of the flip side of ordering, because if you order it months in advance and then it just doesn't come, you're like,
Right.
it's nobody's fault. It just is what it is.
Right.
I feel like with everything.
Or if you forget that what you ordered, then it's a surprise.
It's like Amazon packages. You're like, just get cheese. And you're like,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Christmas.
I'd take like a small wheel of cheese every day from delivered.
Nitty asked if you go to cheese festivals and if you've ever been to any international ones.
I've not been to an international cheese festival. I went to ACS, the American Cheese Society, when it was here a couple years ago, and took the certified cheese professional test.
She passed it, y'all.
I did pass it. But I would really like to go. There's a slow food show every other year in Bra, Italy, and that's
Slow food?
Yeah, if you heard of the slow food movement. So it's this international movement that focuses on traditional production and not cutting corners and just sort of good, clean food with a purpose.
I get it now. Opposite of fast food.
Yep. So they have this incredible show in Bra every other year, and they just had it this year. So, but I would really like to do that.
Okay. Well then,
One thing I saw,
imagine-
this is slightly off topic, but while I was thinking about it, you have been doing, is it raclette? Like the hot cheese, it's like you slide it down, it's just like the...
Yep. So
Am I
we've been
saying that
doing
right?
that every Sunday while it's still cold out. So January and February. Just because raclette is fun. People like it, and there is some theater to
Novelty,
it,
yeah.
and so every Sunday I've just been mixing up what we're melting the cheese onto. But it's usually some sort of pickled vegetable and bread and a meat. But
gherkins.
it's fun, yeah.
We had it in New York City. It's way funkier than I thought.
It's got some foot to it. But
It's like
not
really
too much.
funky for a melty cheese.
Yeah. So it's washed.
And there's a difference like in the funk between like that and then like blue cheese.
Yes.
Even though they're both funky, like I could eat every blue cheese forever, but then sometimes other cheeses are too funky in another way. I'm like,
Yep.
I mean, that's the same with beers, though. Sometimes you have one that's just so funky that you're like.
it's like I love 99% of cheese though. It's hard to make me not want to eat it.
Yeah, I'm with you. What did y'all think of the albala?
I thought it was really good. I was surprised how.
Herby.
Yeah,
the inside
how much the
was. Like
flavor-
it's soaked in from the
Permeates.
outside.
Right.
But it's mild.
Yeah, it's mild, but very. It's
Like I imagine this
distinct.
piece would be a little stronger.
Well,
but
so when I did eat the end that had the
a rind. It's like
rind
this
on
part.
it, and it wasn't
Yeah.
as completely different as like the rind
Right.
from that one and the inside. It just, yeah.
I think this one is nice with your cider too. I like it with the blueberry specifically.
Lindsay said they had their raclette a few weeks ago,
Oh, good.
and it was delicious.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Do you still do grilled cheeses and that kind of stuff, even when Blueby doesn't have the outside open and that kind of thing?
We always have them because even when it's nasty outside, there is that salon area, so there's always covered seating.
Oh, that's right.
And then sometimes people take them to go, so we do the grilled cheeses and then the small cheese boards to eat on site. So, that ear.
One up, one down.
We're looking at. They can see.
So she's the
She's cute.
logo for our pretend cidery or homebrew cidery. I guess it's not pretend.
So, question is, when do you know when to not eat the rind?
When it tastes bad.
So if it's coated in some sort of wax or there's something other than wax, but it looks like plastic, but it's just more permeable so the cheese can breathe a little more, that you should not eat. But even if you ate it, it's not going to hurt you. With everything else, it's possible to eat the rind. I tell people, if your body's telling you don't put this in your mouth, then maybe don't do it. But definitely on bloomies, like if you're eating brie, don't be that person that's scooping out the middle of the brie at a party, because that's
Because then you're taking the best part.
yeah. But also on that, the mold on the outside is so much a part of the bite.
I think a lot of people. I think it's like a mental thing for a lot of people.
Well, I would imagine,
A lot of
because
people
I
don't
felt this
know.
way, is like, oh, you shouldn't. Like, you don't eat the rind. So
Well, yeah, I don't
it's kind of
think
like the charcuterie, like people just don't know
Yeah.
the
Right.
proper terminology or what to eat.
I think just in maybe American culture, like we're not used to eating super fresh things that we don't have to unwrap.
You gotta
It's
take
just
the outside off.
Yeah,
Right.
it's just instinct to just don't eat the outside.
That's an interesting point.
But yeah, and,
Yeah.
and I mean,
I get it, and I
they
know
would. It
like,
wouldn't be anything for them to
Yeah.
carry over, just to hand over some cheese to somebody, and
right.
I don't know.
That's interesting. Yeah. So trust your body on the rind, but
Alicia thought that some rinds had mites,
yes.
but she's not a certified cheese professional. She put that in there.
So there are lots of cheeses that have mites, and most of the time you don't see them. Some people think it's really cool. Some people get grossed out. So I'm not going to name any
Aren't
cheeses.
there dust mites on literally everything?
Yeah, I
ever?
mean, I think
Like-
that the mite family is enormous, right?
And they're little, but the amount of them is enormous.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean the umbrella.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So there are mites that live on the outside of several cheeses. Well, more than several. A lot of cheeses. And they just sort of hang out and they nibble on the rind.
Lucky.
But they're so small they can't get through.
They can't get into the paste. But you can see, I got a cheese a few weeks ago that had more mite activity than I've ever seen on a cheese before. It was crazy because you see the mites and then everything that they've sort of torn apart. Some people really think that the mites give an extra special flavor to the cheese, so they will
Yeah,
always
like we
eat that rind.
Animals all the time. Like, why not add some mites on top?
Yeah. So sometimes though, if you unwrap a cheese and you see a lot of mite activity on there, if you take some of the dust and you put it on the counter and you just sit there and watch
It moves.
for like a minute, you can see a little bit of activity.
What do you call mite activity before you do that? Like, how do you tell? You just think it's moving?
Well, so the mites are, I don't know how to say this delicately. So the mites are eating the cheese.
So you can just see like the. Go ahead.
It's their a little bit of their waste product, which
Okay.
is the dust,
Gotcha.
which is what really bugs
Which is
people.
dust.
Gotcha.
It just looks like dust, and I clean it off. We clean it. So if I get a wheel that looks like that, we clean all of the
It's like
dust, all of the mites
Washing
off.
an apple before you eat
Yeah.
it. No different.
It's not a big deal at all. But some people have it bugs them, which I get.
I get that.
Pun intended.
When I When I worked at a seafood restaurant in raw or oysters, there's these little like crabs, little things that come in that get in the oysters, and some people were like grossed out by it, but a lot of other people, it's like a delicacy. Like bite into it, it's got all the oyster juice and stuff. And
Is it alive?
if you get, usually not. No. I was gonna say maybe if they were raw oysters, but I don't think I've seen them move. But
So there's little crabs in the oysters.
yeah, it's like a little. Yeah, it's just a little.
Do they crawl in
Crab.
after the oyster is big, or do they get in there when the oyster is a
I
baby?
have no idea. I don't know. But people love, like, some people are grossed out, but other people love to eat them because they said that just, like, this is going to be gross, but, like, just pops in your mouth
Ooh.
and all that flavor. Yeah.
It's sort of like mustard and crabs, you know? You know, like if you're eating a crab and you open it
Oh,
like
yeah.
this, and then the intestines, all the guts that's yellow. I always try to clean that off, but some people, I feel like, I don't know. My sister lived in Baltimore forever, and all the Baltimore people are like, "Oh, the mustard's the best part." I'm like, it's intestinal goo. But I think it's just one of those things, and especially like if you grow up with it, it's like, well, it's not a big deal. It's part of. I mean, we're eating animals and
Right.
byproducts of animals.
Everybody poops. Look. Somebody said, what's the most expensive cheese you've ever tasted? That's
know-
a really good question.
There aren't in the cheese world, since cheese is perishable at some point in its life. I've never had a cheese that's like
The rarest, oldest.
It's like a
$200 a pound.
mummified cheese from Egypt, from
Yeah.
the tomb of somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know, Egyptian queens off the top
There's
of
a
my head.
lot of dust on that.
Yep, lots of
The
mite
mites
activity.
really got to that one.
I don't know. I mean, there are some cheeses that, I mean, the price of all cheese is sort of going up, but I think the most expensive American cheese is the Rogue River Blue out of Oregon. So they wrap, it's a blue cheese. It's amazing.
I like it.
But they soak, I think they're, I don't know what type of leaves they are. They soak leaves in pear brandy, and then they wrap the wheels in it. So you get this really nice sort of booziness. And it only comes out, they release it on the autumnal equinox every year.
I don't know what that means.
Of course they do.
So it's a Libra? Is that what that means? I don't know my
Yeah.
astrology.
Yes. Well, yeah, I think so. Maybe right before. It might be a Virgo.
A Virgin.
I was reading Stilton right as I was saying Virgo.
Yeah, but I've never heard of a cheese that's like crazy expensive.
What is, I guess, how much is the blue one that you were talking about?
I mean, retail, it's probably like $60 a pound at this point.
What's like the most expensive in your shop at the moment per pound?
Probably like 44.
I have asked her
If you
before.
really like something, like cheese to me is like, I would eat it with every meal, but it's still special.
Yeah.
And like, you know. may
Well,
not
and
eat
you're
the
not
super
buying a whole
expensive-
pound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
most cases, if you're, because we always say you should buy cheese for what you're going to eat in the next couple sittings. So, normal recommendation for like a couple is get a quarter pound of a couple cheeses, and then that way you're always eating something that's fresh, and then you just come back and get more when you need it. Like any good cheese shop should not try to push you to buy more per pound than is for, you know,
Right.
a cocktail hour or two. Which I feel really strongly about that, because
That makes sense.
you know,
Yeah.
because you don't want somebody with cheese that's dying in their fridge, because then they have a bad experience. You know,
Right.
I would much rather do the long, slow sell into cheese happiness, and they're always happy when they
Cheese happiness.
get it out of the fridge.
Cheese always makes me happy.
She has had Limburger. Haven't
Mm-hmm.
you? I've asked you that before.
Yep.
Is that the Superfoot one?
That's the super stinky
Yeah.
one that you see in the cartoons, like Tom and Jerry.
Yeah,
They make
some-
it seem like
Yeah.
it's
There's so many things in our childhood, like TV and cartoons, you think you'd encounter. Quicksand,
Yep. Quicksand was huge in
having
the
to stop,
80s.
drop, and roll.
90s.
They
Stop,
really
drop.
grinded that into my brain, and I've never had to do it.
Oh, sorry.
And I bet if I saw a
fire.
fire at this point, I'd forget. I just wouldn't even hit me like to stop.
No, it would though, because it's in there.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
We'll find out. Maybe. Yeah, hopefully not.
I mean, I hope you don't catch on fire.
Same.
But like, I agree. Like the did y'all have Dare? Did you have to take Dare? Nancy Reagan, like the Dare guy came into my 3rd grade class and he said that one time there was a guy and he took drugs and he stared at the sun and then he went blind and I was like, okay. No.
It worked. Dare worked.
Dare worked. And an 8-year-old me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
Scare them.
The only thing I remember from Dare is like the ways to say no. And then again, they make it seem like
like the
you're going to be
broken record
offered
thing?
drugs like constantly.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like overbearing. And they're all going to be free. And it's called the broken record. And you just say no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Like, they'd be like, oh, this dude's already on drugs. He doesn't need any more. You just would say like no, no. Like,
I do remember the different approaches. Yeah.
that's the only one I remember. What do you remember?
Man.
I don't remember any of the others. Just the broken records.
Well, because remember, then they had to change it to the broken CD for the next group of
For the next generation.
the scratch CD.
Yeah. And now I don't know. I guess they don't do Dare anymore.
They don't?
I don't know.
I realized it didn't work. But you know what I do love? Even I don't know if it worked or not, but Crime McGruff.
Oh, McGruff, the crime dog. And Smokey the Bear. We were talking about Smokey the Bear the other day.
I think he's still around, isn't he?
Yeah, he is still around, but
I hear this ad on, I guess technically XL102, but on the whatever it's called
app we
now.
listen to,
Yeah, iHeartRadio. And it's Al Roker talking. He's like, well, Smokey the Bear only says, you know, only you can prevent forest fires, but then he like went into like the specifics. And he,
of
like,
how to prevent
yeah, and he's like,
forest
don't burn yard waste on windy days. And I'm like, do we really need to tell people this? But I guess
yeah,
so.
yeah, I think we do.
We probably do.
Lindsay says they still do Dare. Her 5th
Don't.
grader just
Okay.
graduated.
Oh,
Can I
great.
have their shirt? Do they still
Don't
get free shirts?
do firework baby reveal, gender reveals in California ever, because California is just a explosive waiting to go off. Yes.
Do you want to taste this butter?
Oops, that's my button. I went to the wait. Was appealing.
I like that. Okay. So the butter is this Glenstall salted
But yeah, right there.
Irish. Here we go. Oh, wrong way. This is my favorite new butter that I've tasted in a really long time. I cracked some open on Sunday and had to hold on to the edge of the table because it was so good. But like,
So I've noticed since we've been doing Butter Club that the different, again, I'm not having them like side by side. Like we'll have 3 cheeses, so
Right.
it's very easy to tell them side by side. Like, oh, this one's different.
right?
The butter, the differences are much more subtle,
Yes.
and it's like a month in between. I had the last one. I'm like,
Yeah.
this just tastes like butter, but
Okay. I get that.
it could be my palate.
Well, I do
I
agree
don't
that
claim to be a very experienced anything with like food or drink. Like,
there's much less variation, I think, that's possible with butter. But like I don't know if you remember, a few months ago we had a water buffalo milk butter, which was like white, almost like blue white, like so sort of under the radar, so delicate, lightly salted. This is like, I don't know if it shows up on screen, but it is so rich and yellow.
yeah, it's with the color I can see on TV versus real life. It's like more of a dark yellow in real life.
So, and this butter is only made with summer milk, and it comes from southwestern Ireland in this area called the Golden Vale, which is just like lush green pasture, like what you think of when you think of
Ireland.
But
Do you also eat it straight just to get the pure like taste of it?
yeah, I mean, if I'm tasting, I would put it on a little, like a little deli
don't eat
sheet
it.
and lick it off. But
Okay.
But
Because we
gonna,
were eating it straight last month just to try it.
So
Can you leave butter on the counter indefinitely?
I do not.
I do.
There are some,
I do.
There are some people who swear by it. I do not, but I
So
do
you
agree
fridge it?
that it's
Well, we
fine.
fridge our
outright.
nice butter. It's like just like the butter.
Yeah.
Leave it out.
All right. So the scones are from Flower Garden, which is where I get most of my
Most of the
bread.
stuff. I'm gonna just grab it just to people can see a little close up of the scones.
So this is their cream scone, but we get scone. I ordered special for this week, but usually we always have scones and croissants from them in addition to baguettes on the weekends.
I like their logo. It's really cute.
It is cute. I like them a lot too.
Where are they located?
So they do a little, they're sort of dabbling in retail, I think, but most of their stuff is wholesale. But they're off 50th Street. You know where the Chipotle is across from Willow Lawn?
Yeah.
It's like if you take.
That's right where we're
That's literally right where I
Right,
work, yeah.
okay. So if you turn at the Chipotle and you go down 50th and then it winds around before it hooks back up with Staples Mill.
You could probably walk there.
Maybe I will.
Anyway, I love this butter.
So you may have not been in the room. She said it made her the table so good. I was like, oh yeah. But I
love it. Oh my God.
have trouble distinguishing differences in butters. Where cheeses, it's easier. The butter, it's more subtle.
I just think the salt on this is so perfect.
It's like I like all butter. So it's not like I've had a butter. I'm like, oh, this one's not good enough. But this one is saltier. Mm-hmm.
And I like salty, but like my go-to butters are Irish salted butter or salted butter from Normandy because they get that sea salt right off the ocean.
Why are Irish butters so good?
I think just because they have so much lush grass. So the color in the butter comes since it's only summer milk. The cows are only eating grass
That is very good.
and wild everything. So the carotene comes through in the milk, which is cool. So summer milk is always bright and orangey, yellowy. Winter milk is white. So you can tell if you're looking at cheese, if you take two different wheels made one in winter, one in summer, there's a
difference.
very distinct difference.
Do they taste significantly different or just like
I think winter
minor?
milk tastes it's just a little thinner. I feel like that summer milk has it tastes fattier. It's just sort of a rounder taste, which is why cheddar started being colored to be orange. So when people recognized that the really yellowy orange color was sort of
more flavorful?
grasses and fatty and bounty.
But now
And
they just
then-
like add a dye. And
Now they
make
just
it-
add, so it's annatto, which is a derivative of a tree. So it's natural still, but then they figured out they could market it better if they just added a little color to it. So that way year
I
round.
almost
I had no
weirdly
idea.
prefer white cheddars more because I've had better white cheddars. But this is like me eating Food Lion orange
Yep.
cheddar, and then I get like the Cabot white, and I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
white's better, without really knowing why there was even a color difference.
I do think there's some different in the cultures that they use because I agree that the white cheddars, especially the ones you can find at the grocery, are better than the orange ones, even in the same brand. Like
Yeah, like Cracker Barrel or whatever that is. That one of them?
Yeah.
I just assumed all not white cheddar was just dye, but now I'm realizing it was summer milk.
originally.
Yeah.
I don't know if you answered this when I was out about how much per month does it cost to join both clubs and how would one go about it?
So it's all on my website, but the Cheese Club, and they're sort of, if you sign up for 6 months, it's a little bit cheaper than if you sign up for 3 months or for 1 month. Cheese Club is around $50 a month, and the Butter Club is $29. So with the Cheese Club, you get 3 cheeses and then 2 accoutrements. So usually we do dried fruit and nuts, but I've been doing it long enough that I'm tired of doing Dried
Dried
fruit
fruit
and
nuts.
nuts. So, like this month, we're doing a jam and a box of crackers.
We really like the jams. Also, I love water crackers. Cars are the best crackers.
So you got a fig spread.
I got little cornichons one day.
We did that one month.
So the fig spread and the crackers came with the cheese.
With the
and then the
cheese.
butters, the scones, and then the honey.
The honey and the butter. So,
But sometimes the butter comes with the baguette.
yes.
And not like scones. You mix it up and stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying, and Butter Club is still pretty new. I think this is our 4th month.
Well, I
So-
was very excited when I saw the email. I was like, sweet butter and bread, and it just all comes
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, Alex and I, so we get both.
We've been doing it
things.
for like probably a year at least.
But we'll like this is our dinner normally. We'll
Whatever
pick up the box
day it
and
drops, yeah, we'll
that
just
Wednesday or the next day.
Eat it.
Yeah, that's cheese and butter and bread.
cheese,
for
butter,
dinner.
and bread for
lime.
dinner, and yeah,
Yep.
it's my favorite dinner of the
know.
month.
Well, and it's easy, It's easy and
So,
satisfying.
would we put the honey on the scones as well? And
Yeah.
then even the figs, or is the figs made to like pair with cheese? Or
I did
how
the fig
that-
with the cheese just because the fig spread pretty much goes with everything. But I thought that the honey and the butter would be nice, and we can try that.
So it'd be like honey, butter, and scone, like all. Yes, let's do
Do you
it.
serve deli meats or not deli?
Like sausage, like.
do you serve
charcuterie?
charcuterie?
We do. So we always have a nice 24-month prosciutto. We usually have a sopressata finocchione with fennel seeds. I'm really into this hot salami right now by the same producer. And then it sort of varies. I like to mix it up a little bit now and then. But we also have these really nice small batch chorizos and truffa secca black truffle salami out of a guy in New York who does it. And then recently I just started carrying those little salamis that were in the Butter Club last month from Underground Meats, which is out of Wisconsin. And they do all
kind of spicy.
they do all heritage breed stuff too. And I like working with them.
Alicia wants to know if you're a tinned fish person.
I don't even know what that means.
Tins,
Do you
like
eat fish out of a tin?
I do.
Oh, like
Sardines?
Sardines and anchovies, and I do. It's harder to pair fish and cheese is sort of the ultimate.
Fish can be very divisive. Like either you don't like fish or you really like fish.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle where I have to be like in the mood for fish, but then when I'm in the mood for it and get good fish, I really love it.
Yeah. I brought it like I don't know, maybe a year ago. I was like, we need smoked salmon on our boards. And so I brought in a side of salmon and it did okay. And I moved it, but people weren't really excited to have smoked salmon with their cheese. So if I had more space, I think I could do more that kind of stuff. But I mean, ultimately it would be nice to have one small case for charcuterie and things like bulk olives that you could just scoop in a tub. One tiny case for butters because butter picks up mold from cheeses, so I have to be careful about how long it's in the case. And then one cheese case.
I feel like butter can like more easily pick up flavors of other things too.
Yeah.
So, like, do you have more than just like one butter available if someone went to your shop right now?
I'm trying to have more in a conservative. I don't want to have it so much that it's going bad, but like right now I have the Irish butter and I also have a black truffle butter, which is really nice. More of like a finishing butter for like veggies, or it's also awesome just to eat. But
Someone asked if you offer shipping, and I don't know if that's for the club, like the boxes, or just in general, or if it's pickup only.
I do. Most of my shipping, I try to keep it within 400 miles of Richmond because it is economical enough that it makes sense to do it, and it will get there in a short amount of time. Shipping
fresh.
anywhere west it just doesn't make sense to do money wise. But so anywhere basically along the eastern seaboard, I can ship easily.
Even for cheese share? No, that's just pickup only.
I could ship cheese share, and I'm trying to that's a way that I would like to grow.
That'd be like adding in like freezer packs or like
Yeah.
dry ice. I guess
So-
dry ice is more for frozen stuff.
Or what you could do like a like Southside pickup this day or this time, or just have somebody kind of
Yeah.
I don't know, throwing it
Well,
out there.
Scott's Edition's pretty central and it's easy to get in and out if you're on 195.
Yeah.
So
But if somebody's holding back from joining because
Because
they
of
have,
that.
they're like,
Right.
oh, I don't know how often I'll
Yeah.
go and get there.
it's worth it. You should just drive in, order it, and come.
Also,
it's worth
I
it.
think that's like some of the coolest.
It makes me very happy.
That's one of the
And I love
coolest-
that I don't have to think. I don't have to pick it out.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
give me what's like your favorite right now.
It's also one of the coolest like buildings and properties.
Yeah, it is really cool with the stone.
in the
Yeah.
city almost. It's very unique.
I think it's the prettiest building in that neighborhood.
Oh, without
by
a doubt.
far.
Because most of it's just like warehouses or converted
Yeah.
warehouses. What was
Yeah.
it?
It was the city stables for a long
for
time.
the police horses.
That makes sense.
And then, so like where my shop is was like a locker room. Like you can see, next time you're in, I'll show you. You can see the drain where the shower was, and that's why one of the windows is sort of that heavy blurred glass. And I guess people slept in the tasting room. They had like a bunk bed kind of thing, and then all the animals were on the other side.
What do you make your grilled cheeses on at the store?
The bread.
No, just like
Like
how do you
what
grill?
cooking
Do you, yeah, do you
device?
like use
Do you have a George Foreman? Why do we both say that?
I use a griddle, a nice,
Just
it's
little
Okay,
not-
like what my
plug-in
mom
griddle.
made pancakes on when I
Yeah.
was a kid.
It's the best. Like if I make grilled cheeses at home, I'm like, where's my griddle?
Ah,
Okay.
Okay.
It
Very
just
even electric heat.
very
Yeah.
even, and it's flat, so you're not
Yeah.
trying to scoop in to a
Yeah.
pan.
How do you make all your grilled cheeses the same? Like butter bread, or do you use mayonnaise? I know that's a thing.
We do. We always do butter on the outside.
Use a certain butter like of the month, or
I don't, because it would drastically
Be
increase
expensive.
the price of the grilled cheeses. But I mean, we always use salted butter.
yeah. Why
And
do they even make unsalted butter? I think it's garbage.
I sort of agree. Even when baking, I feel like baking always calls
always
for
says
unsalted.
I
and
always put salted.
I do too. It's like if it calls for light brown sugar, I always use dark.
Yeah, because
I just think it has
does that
more
really
flavor.
mix it up.
Does it make a difference?
I think
Like
you
between
get
light and dark? If you do
I-
a blind taste test of sugars,
I think
Yeah,
you
I think you could tell.
Yeah.
just makes it sweeter.
More, I think it's richer.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like in my coffee, I like the turbinado sugar instead of the white sugar because you get sort of a more caramelly,
What kind of sugar?
just the chunky
Like the raw-
crystals. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I've noticed, but what she got me onto, and now if I drink any other coffee that's not from here, it's gross, is using heavy whipping cream instead of half and half.
The mouthfeel.
It's
Yeah.
very
It's
like
that
velvety.
thick. Yeah.
So now I'm spoiled by that.
Yeah, if
Yes,
I go
you
anywhere
are.
besides Starbucks and
Does anyone even offer that as like an option?
I don't know, but I like go and then they
It's like
just
coffee
have
out in
those
the world sucks now because I
Yeah.
have heavy whipping cream at
Yeah.
home.
yeah, they have those little cups of half and half. It takes like 7 of them to even
Yeah.
like feel like it's acceptable, and then I'm like, ew. Yeah.
Yeah, heavy whipping cream. I for Valentine's Day, I decided to make a very romantic family meal. So we had steak, and then I had some heavy whipping cream in the fridge. So I whipped it, and we did berries and chocolate ice cream,
Yum.
and we listened to romantic music and had candles, which
Cute.
is fun with kids. But it just reminds me, like every time, like at the end, people are getting ready for bed, whatever, and I was just eating whipped cream in the kitchen because it's so good.
So good. It is so good.
I don't understand.
Do you make your own whipped cream?
Yeah, because you just have to whip it. I don't understand why people get that nasty can. It's like a high school flashback of gross boys
Convenience.
doing whippets.
Say no to drugs.
Right.
If you do whippets, you might go blind. Right. You don't really, like, not worth it.
Any butter more suited to making compound butters with fresh herbs?
I guess I would do. I mean, if you're just using butter as an ingredient, I would do a good salted butter.
Something a butter
Because
you would
if
eat
you're
on its own.
if you're flavoring it with other stuff, I think
If you're
that's
at a normal grocery store, there's all the different butters. Which one do you go to? Like, obviously, you have access to better butter, but if you're in a pinch,
Yeah, are you a
curd,
Lando Lakes or are you a log of whatever the thing
Amish
is?
something,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I go for the store brand salted. If I'm using it for cooking,
Food Lion,
you know, it's different if I were gonna like put it on top of a steak or
Right.
you know, for finishing purposes, but you know, for everyday stuff.
the store brand.
And I've made compound butter with regular salted butter, and it
Right.
tastes good because you're flavoring it with
The fresh
garlic or herbs or whatever you're doing. It's going to be great. So I feel like while you should treat yourself to fancy things, you also, when there's a time when you can save a buck and still make something great, why not do it? You know?
I agree.
I could eat a lot of that. Just
Why?
the butter and scone.
Why do you not leave your butter on the counter?
I don't know. Maybe because my mother didn't leave butter on the counter.
Okay.
I feel like everyone has those weird little mother
Yeah,
things,
absolutely.
You know?
I'm happy to hear you say that. I thought you were going to be
Like
like, well, the bacteria,
No.
this and this.
I think it's fine. I just don't because
It's
my
just
mom
how you-
didn't.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't because there's nothing worse than trying to spread cold butter on your toast and it just
You
rips,
don't
Yeah.
refrigerate.
rips the toast.
We
Yeah.
have a little container, but half the time it's like dirty or missing. So like, there's just like a half a stick just like sitting on this little like plate next to the stove.
Yeah.
It's the butter.
It hasn't caused a problem yet.
Yeah. I don't think there's any reason that would cause a problem.
At our old house, we had a cleaning lady, and I would come like every 2 weeks, and she would always put the butter in the fridge. And so afterwards, I'm like cooking dinner. I'm like, where's the butter?
I don't even remember that.
Lee would always put the butter in the fridge.
It was just sitting out.
Yeah, it was on the windowsill.
Oh wait, windowsill like so the new kitchen at the old house.
Yeah.
Okay, near the fridge. Just
Yeah.
you wouldn't be near the stove, or
I don't know.
you wanted to get like extra warm from the sunlight.
It was just in that general area, I think, and she would always put it in the fridge.
I miss that kitchen.
I do too.
That's the only thing I miss about that house.
Where was y'all's last house?
Like 4 minutes that way.
like,
Okay.
like right by Pony Pasture, the other side of
Oh, okay.
Cherokee.
It was a 1960s rancher that was like heavily renovated and additions and all this stuff, and it was really awesome. But 1960s means like small closets and just
Yeah.
some things you can't renovate to like doing like 2021 construction.
Right.
But the kitchen was like half the size of this room.
It was like,
wow.
well,
We
before-
re-renovated the kitchen to do that.
Yeah, it was like a tiny galley kitchen with like this much counter space.
But it was amazing. It was a whole slab of granite or
wow.
marble was just the island. So it was like a lot of space. And now our kitchen island is like this big, and there's a sink in it. We made do though.
Do you
Like this
ever
house.
pick your travel destinations or like vacations based off of
Cheese?
cheese?
Probably only, right?
Well, it depends if I'm traveling with or without kids, you know. But I don't know.
Only white cheddar only.
A couple of years ago, my husband and I went to Rome for an anniversary, and there were many cheese-focused, you know, excursions,
Right.
sort of focused in on that. I would like to get to the point where I could just be like, you know, we can make this work by doing a vacation, and also if I could go visit a farm or if I could
Yeah.
go, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
not quite there yet, but you know, I feel like traveling to little towns and eating whatever their local cheese is also invaluable, and you know, no one's trying to sell you anything. You're just experiencing what
Right.
local people eat, you
Right.
know, which is awesome.
That is really awesome.
Claire texted saying, Maggie's introduced me to how special cheese can be.
Oh,
Oh, that's cute.
that's the best thing I've heard
So
all
before
day.
I forget,
Oh, she wants to know who won the cheese.
yeah, that's what I was looking at. So we have a handful of people. I don't know how we should do it.
So you should number them by the order they came in, 1 through whatever, and then do a random number generator. Could you pass me that, please?
That's smart.
I know it is. How many?
7 people texted. I know there's been more people than that, but
Okay.
maybe people
Well,
are being
there's 7.
polite because they've already had a lot of cheese, haven't
All
we?
right.
Well, tell me. 1 through 7.
4.
Hortons.
Ah!
Chris and Holly Horton. 1, 2, 3, 4. You just won some cheese boxes.
They were
Cheese
just
butter
the ones
boxes.
asking about delivery or pickup, so you'll pick it up and you will see
They
the
live
value.
in Midlothian.
Okay.
So, you know,
They-
put away. It's probably like a 20, 25-minute drive. It's not like around the corner, but
Yeah.
it's worth it.
Yeah.
Worth it. I'll pick it up when I pick up ours. and
Deliver it.
Deliver it, yeah.
They said they're cheesing. Like, smiling.
Oh,
So I'm
good.
making sure.
Clarifying
Thanks
is-
for clarifying.
But I'm curious to add some honey to
Oh
the
yeah.
stones.
Sorry, I got into.
The puppy,
Yes.
she's cute. Well, our adult dog.
She's so
Our
relaxed.
adult.
Need a. There we go.
Shipping for future gifting. Oh. Do you think that one day you're gonna graduate to like a charcuterie club? A meat club?
I could. I think a lot of it. I mean, a lot of it really is for me right now. Is space issue.
Yeah, and when you said that, I had
Yeah.
the question in my mind, and then when you said that, I was like, yeah, there's not really
Like,
room, right?
this is just my personal opinion or feelings around it. Is that there already are some charcuterie people in Richmond,
Okay.
but you can't just like go and have this large variety. And I don't know their depth of knowledge with cheese. And I'm a cheese person. Like, I love meat. Like, give me ZZQ all day.
Yeah.
But the charcuterie, like dried meats, maybe I just haven't had the right one to make me fall in love with it.
Okay.
I'd rather just eat 10 cheeses and bread and have no meat.
Yeah.
Even though normally we go out to like, I want ZZQ meat, and Lauren's like, I only want the sides. So,
yeah.
I appreciate what you offer. I think it serves
Okay.
a valid.
Thank you.
But I'm sure you could expand into that and still be successful. But don't forget about the
Have you ever
basics,
changed-
the foundations.
Have you ever changed the life of somebody at, that works at Blue Bee by just giving him letting him taste one of the most amazing cheeses
Daily.
he's ever had?
I don't know. We like to share cheese with Blue Bee people because it's a small little, even though we're two separate businesses,
You're
you
very
know,
close together.
we are. So we throw
You're
cheese their
technically
way a lot.
touching.
and,
Thank you.
it's good to be able to. I like feeding people when they're hungry, especially if it's like a crazy day and no one has time to take a break and
Right.
eat. You know, it's like, do you need a
You can
grilled
always
cheese
take-
or
yeah.
do you need?
Oh my
you know.
gosh. If I was having a rough day and somebody asked if I needed a grilled cheese, I was like,
You know?
that's like better than a hug. That's like, I've got something that might help.
But I think it's nice, especially because if you weren't with the right group of people, working so closely with a separate company could go south fast. But
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like we work with them very well. It's just an
Oh.
easy relationship, which is
That's
nice.
awesome.
So we
That's
love
awesome.
sharing cheese with them.
Horton said that he could watch a cheese plate cam
Just this.
for hours.
Even sitting still?
Instead of like the fireplace that you
Like,
have.
it could just be a picture. How do you know if it's real or not?
No, because he saw the honey coming out of the thing. It was very aesthetically pleasing.
Sometimes I try to take pictures of honey being drizzled because you have that one magic moment before it just turns into a
A glob of
glossy mess.
Yeah, yes.
That's
Like-
when you gotta have the camera on like
Rapid fire?
Rapid fire.
Yeah.
And you gotta sort through and find the best one, but it's worth it.
Oh, that's so good.
I'm
Wow.
doing another. I'll try and pour it slowly for you, Horton. Let me get the angles right. Up into the shadows. I don't know. Whoop. Whoa, that's a lot.
nice.
I am the king of making
It
messes.
happened so fast. Very good. Very good. So when you get these butters, do they all come packaged and rolled like that?
They do. So next month's Butter Club is an aged.
Wait, you can age butter?
So this butter, I have not
All
had
the
it.
butter-
Except not on my counter.
No, all the butter in our fridge is aged.
So it's aged, so it comes in a bigger log, so I'm going to
And then
have to
you'll
break
slice-
that down. But I'm pretty excited about it. It comes from a place in Brooklyn. They do mostly, they age cheeses, but they have this butter, and we're going to try it out. It's going to be fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
We're going to Philadelphia this weekend. Any
Oh, that's fun.
awesome cheese or butter places
Well,
there?
De Bruno Brothers, you can't go wrong with. They're sort of like a powerhouse of
De Bruno Brothers?
Yes.
How do you...
Dibruno. But their stores are beautiful. They have one in Center City. I think that's it.
I think that's where we're staying.
Okay. But I think they have like 6 locations.
And
But
is it
they're,
a cheese place, butter place?
it's everything. It's like,
It's just like amazing.
yeah, it's cheese and meat and prepared foods and
De Bruno.
yeah.
Okay.
It's great. And it's a fun experience.
Yay! Oh, I'm so glad I asked.
Yeah.
I thought about asking that, and then I was like, I don't know.
I know, I was like, what are the odds? But De Bruno Brothers.
Yeah. We went to a wedding in Philadelphia years ago. It was so fun. I just thought the city was it
Yeah.
was like fun and neighborhoody
But
and
so
approachable.
big city feel, kind of.
But it has a lot going on. It was a great trip.
We went a while ago, but we were there for like a concert, so we didn't really
was
get
like-
around much.
Got there, went to the concert,
And then left.
went back to the Airbnb, and then like left next. So we didn't get to do anything.
His sister lived there for years, and she just moved to LA, but is coming back for a wedding. So we're going and meeting her and another friend
fun.
there. And it's gonna be the first time we've ever really like explored Philadelphia. Or I'm excited.
Yeah, I've been there a few times, but it was always concert, leave. Like it wasn't hanging out.
But I hear it's a really cool place, so that's cool.
Oh, fun. Well, you'll have to tell me if you make it to De Bruno's.
The Brunos.
I'm sure we will,
Yeah.
especially for in Center City, and that's where one of them is.
Yeah, I'm almost positive. I don't know.
So is it like just like how would you describe it? More than just cheese and butter?
Yeah, it's like a gourmet grocery. I think they have like a coffee bar and
Is it like a Stella's, but just like on steroids?
more like like a small Eataly. Have you been to an Eataly?
Italy?
No.
Eataly. It
So
used
it's
to,
like a giant
the-
Stella's market, kind of.
Liv,
Yeah.
my sister, was talking about all the Amish stuff up there, but that's not that.
no. I'm sure they have some Amish stuff, but yeah, it's like everything is pleasing. Yeah, so maybe like Stella's if it were.
Big.
But more like, yeah.
Stella's is already
I
overwhelming.
know.
Yes.
Italy is
Italy.
great.
Yeah.
No, Eataly.
Eataly.
Yeah.
It was
that's-
the Mario.
You thought she really said it.
I was like, Italy with an accent.
Ireland.
Italy.
This
I
is
think it was-
Irish butter.
Like Mario.
I just really, really hope
Mario
someone does.
Batali?
Yeah,
Um,
before he got shamed out of being a front man. It was his thing, I think.
What did he get shamed out of?
I think there was some Me Too stuff. So he may be still
He
involved
does
in the
seem like
company.
he would be a
I think. I'm not
sexual predator. Emerald.
I'm not calling him that, but I feel like there was something he had to be
I
taken
am.
out of the spotlight. But I think he was one of the people who started it, which is cool. I mean, they have
Not
a few.
Italy.
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 Not De
Not De
Bruno's.
Bruno. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
De Bruno's, I think, was a family company from they've been around for almost 100 years and then have grown into this powerhouse of food. Yeah.
When does the oldest cheese date back to? You
Just
you
like
said this.
originally ever made, or
I mean, she said this one. There's
Oh, wait.
word about it in like.
Like 5,000 BC.
oh, the style.
I don't know.
Just cheese.
Yeah. Like,
I
I know
mean,
how
when
it
was
came
the first
about
cheese?
and, like...
I think as soon as people started herding animals,
Right.
using ruminants for various reasons. And once they started milking animals.
okay, I guess, like, at what point was the earliest notion of, like, different styles and types of cheeses?
Well, I think that the styles and the types sort of came out of
Just the regions?
necessity, what was around, but like the original
sense, yeah.
original cheese story. So if you have a shepherd and he's got a bunch of sheep and he's using a sheep stomach to carry the milk, and then it gets jostled around and then he stops and all of a sudden it's sort of a yogurty mess. That's sort of where it came from.
Right.
And then people started figuring out how to actually make it, because the whole, like with any early fermented food, it's basically controlled rot. So if you have this milk that's going to go bad in 3 days, if you can figure out a way,
Better jostle it up.
to make it last for longer, to feed more people and give them more nutrition. I mean, that's the birth of all of it.
Obviously, they don't do it like that anymore, but do you think that the jostling container would have anything to do with the taste? Like, what if you had cow's milk, but you carried it in a sheep's stomach? Would that add flavor?
I think it does change it a little bit, and sometimes you'll see, I mean, most of the time, if you have a cow's milk cheese, the rennet, which is the enzyme of the baby animal, is from the same animal, but not all the time.
So, okay, you've kind of pinpointed my question to more modern times, so you can mix and match. Is there a rhyme or reason behind it?
I think most of the time it's not done, but if it is, it's probably to use cow's milk because it's probably cheaper than the other animals.
So they use someone else's rennet,
Stomach.
and other animals, just to
Enzymes.
see what happens.
I think since cows are such much bigger animals.
They just produce a lot more?
Well, I think because it's just the enzyme in the stomach. So if you're butchering a calf and pulling out the enzyme from the stomach lining.
Does it have to be a baby animal?
It does. So the reason it has to be a baby is the babies produce this enzyme to curdle the mother's milk because it breaks it down. So when they're old enough that they're not drinking their mother's
Did not realize
milk,
that.
they
I
don't
thought it
have
was
to make
just
the
stomach.
enzyme. No, it's baby. So I think just the size of the animal being
So
a
do
larger
they-
cow, it's going to be cheaper than getting a goat stomach or a sheep stomach.
Well, now is it
That makes
rennet
sense.
like synthetically made, or
Some
are
of
they
it
still
is.
using like veals essentially? Like
It's
what they-
both. And I mean, there's much more of an appetite, especially in the States, for vegetarian rennet. So a lot of, like if you're at a cheese case without a person there, more things from the West Coast have microbial vegetarian rennet.
But is it like
Are
most
they-
things that are vegetarian that shouldn't be? It's not as good.
I mean,
It depends. Well, I'm just from my experience.
I don't think there's anything wrong with vegetarian rennet. I don't think it imparts that much flavor.
Oh, you think you're getting that?
Are
Is
there
it up for me?
typically or ever indications on like the wrappers in a cheese case or whatever that would say whether it's made with animal rennet or not?
There might be on some, like we don't have it on our labels that we put. We do, like if I'm labeling something for Cheese Club, it will say,
On like the card?
if it just says rennet, that means animal rennet. If it's vegetarian or microbial, it will say that on an actual label. But if you're buying something out of the case that doesn't have to have a label by law to leave the store, you can always ask. Or if you say, I only want, like I did a virtual tasting last night, and there were 3 vegetarians, so we could only do vegetarian rennet cheeses. And most of them, I don't have a ton of them just because my case is so European heavy. But
So vegetarian versus vegan,
So no
Is
cheese
there-
is vegan because they don't eat milk.
yeah.
right? But how
So
does that
technically
matter
cheese
with
with rennet-
vegetarian?
So
Would that also just be
and some vegetarians don't really understand what rennet is, so they don't even know. But the ones who do know that want to have no kill animal byproduct.
So you can get the milk without killing them,
Yeah.
but you can't get the rennet without.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it.
So in super old worldy cheeses, they'll take a strip of stomach lining and dip it in the cheese make. Most people don't do that. It's, from a butcher factory, it comes in a vial and you
It's
pour
more
it in.
scientific now.
Yeah.
So I imagine the rennet's almost like the yeast to like the beer and cider.
Can you
You have like the base, and then that's like where if you have like cow rennet or sheep rennet or
what
goat
if the
rennet.
strip was too big? Like, can you? There be too much rennet?
I think there could be too much rennet. I mean, all of it is very, it's,
Scientific
Yeah.
and recipe and stuff.
yeah. I mean, I think like 70-year-old dudes who make cheese in Switzerland have a good enough feel that they can make a recipe.
Eyeball
like,
it,
you know.
right?
But most like
If I was cutting out my own calf stomach, I shouldn't eyeball it. Is what she's saying.
yeah. But I think like I volunteered at a creamery for a few months and helped make cheese, and everything was very measured and very timed, because if you get the timing off, you're done. Like you've made cheese.
Yeah.
It's
What was the rennet when you made it? Just like a packet or a vial?
Maybe it was like a liquid. I don't really remember.
We probably had no clue what it was at that point.
No, I knew.
Oh, I didn't. I just remember you were like, curds and whey. Right? Isn't that what it's from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little
Yeah.
Miss Muffet?
Yeah.
Sat on a
Yeah.
tuffet?
No, I did. I learned a lot because my cheese kit came with a rennet, and it explained the differences, and it came with the dye for the yellow cheeses, and it came with the waxes, and it like explained. I learned a lot during that
Just made
that
me
time in my life. No,
appreciate other people doing it.
it was really fascinating. I definitely learned a lot, but yeah.
I appreciate canning more now that I'm hand canning cider.
There's people that don't even eat honey because it's like, I don't know, it could be
It's from a
inhumane.
bee?
Yeah.
Hmm?
I don't know. I mean,
I'd rather eat cheese than honey. Like, I still like that honey, but if I
if
had
you
to rank
became
'em,
lactose intolerant tomorrow,
I would.
how hard would you
eat
cry?
Me or her?
Well, the nice thing about most cheeses is that they're basically lactose free after like a month, because the lactose is broken down by the enzymes. So as the enzymes are still eating the lactose and turning it into lactase the longer it's sitting around. So sort of people who are very sensitive, and there are tons of different levels of sensitivity, but people who are very sensitive, if they eat anything over, I think party line is like 18 months, but honestly, like most cheese doesn't,
Interesting.
unless it's fresh. So some people may have a dairy allergy, but they however it's been explained to them, they say, I'm lactose intolerant.
Got
It's
it.
not the lactose, in
Got it.
that.
Yes, okay.
Because once it's fermented, the lactose goes away. So like fresh cheeses don't make sense in ice cream and,
Sour cream.
Ice cream would be
Yeah.
rough.
yeah.
Sour cream would be rough for me.
I love sour cream too.
Cheese and ice cream would be my two.
Yeah.
But it seems like I'd be okay with cheese.
Yeah, as long as it's not super soft, you'll be fine.
But I like soft cheese too.
But it's good you're not lactose intolerant.
Yeah, just melt it.
What? Oh, hard cheese and melted.
Yeah, that's soft.
True.
No more heavy cream in your coffee if you're lactose intolerant.
I don't like imagining like the worst scenario in the world, so we can move past this. So
The
give me
worst
PTSD
scenario
that I
in
don't
the
even have
world.
yet.
Did you have cheese at your wedding?
I did.
Was it a main factor?
We had a good cheese party. Our wedding was pretty low key. It was more like a cocktail reception, really, which sort of suited
See, that's the
our personalities better than
the way
having.
to do it.
What did y'all do?
His mom owns a farm, and we had
Oh, nice.
like the wedding there, which it was awesome and so fun. But after having a wedding, tell everybody elope.
All the stress like planning going up to it wasn't fun.
And the politics and
The actual wedding was super fun.
Yeah.
But not part of our wedding, but at one point Costco had a cheese wedding cake
Okay.
that we ordered for a client party, and it was like just like these giant wheels of cheese,
Yeah.
and we were just eating that, and that was amazing.
double
Yeah.
vision.
The what? Oh, I don't know what button I hit. I dropped the phone for a second. I don't think that's what they're seeing. But I don't know how to go back. Fine. I hit a button. I'm pretty sure they don't see the double vision though.
Do you have a like if you could only eat cheese from one animal for the rest of your life? Do you have a preference?
I don't know. I mean, I do feel like being an American, I probably eat more cow's milk than anything else. I don't know. And honestly, blues and alpines are my favorite
What is
family.
considered an alpine? Like, how
So-
would you describe an alpine?
Like anything from that's like a mountain cheese.
Okay.
So Gruyere, Comte, even though I think Comte is not technically in the Alpines, but sort of those firmer, melty, nutty brown butter, spring onion kind of cheeses, and all of those are cow, and most of the blues. I mean, overwhelming majority of blues that I can get my hands on are cow.
Right.
So I probably sit in the cow family, but I'm okay with that. What about
Is it
y'all?
I don't know enough about cheeses, but I guess I would say cow because there's probably more of them.
Like, I've never tracked the cheese that I love to know what it came from, but I know a lot of them have the crystals and then blue cheese. And I imagine cow would be that.
My favorite cheese is Brie.
Savarin.
Is that cow?
It's cow. When I worked at my
There we
first
go.
cheese shop, because I worked my 9 to 5 all week, and then I worked at the cheese shop on Saturdays all day, and I would come home with a big hunk of Brie Savarin and a hunk of pate and a bottle of Nebbiolo that we sold because it was my favorite, and then I would take my dog on a long walk, and then we'd come back and we would share cheese and pate, and we would watch 48 hours, whatever was on. And it was like my golden time of life.
That's
It's a girl and her
literal-
dog
man.
with her cheese and
You know?
pate and wine.
We just,
and
it was
murder
like
mystery.
a bite for me, a bite for Nick, and we just went back and forth. It was amazing.
I love that. Oh,
So
I
Brie
love that so
has
much.
a special place in my heart.
Brie. I always look for it every time I go to a grocery store, and I never find it, even ones that have a good cheese section. But one time I did ask somebody, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we got it," and showed me there. And now I still try to find it on my own. I never can.
It's become harder to find, and I'm not
Okay.
sure why that is.
Okay.
I don't know why that. It's harder to find, and the price on it spiked. So I don't know what's going on.
Well, like everything, but
But way more so.
And also, I feel like cheese is a very niche thing where it's probably riskier to, you as whoever's selling it
Cheesemonger.
knows that it's a really good cheese and stuff, but it's probably harder to justify stocking it because then you have to convince people that it's worth the
Right.
Just give 'em
extra
the
or whatnot.
taste. That's all it
Yeah, but
Softer cheeses are more of a gamble though because you have a much shorter time to
to
sell
sell
them.
them.
So if I'm bringing, I like bringing in more soft cheeses that are pretty perishable, right before Easter because people love soft, creamy stuff right in the springtime. But if it's the middle of winter and and it's a hand sell and I probably have 10 days to sell it, it's harder
Yeah.
to justify.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But
There's just so much to cheese. Every time my mind is just blown.
it's probably my favorite food.
Yeah.
Just period. But I'd also be very sad if I didn't have carbs. Something
yeah.
crunchy, bread, tea
Yeah.
with it.
Do you
I
grate
just
your
need
own?
it all.
If you make homemade mac and cheese, do you grate your own cheese or do you use pre-grated?
I grate my own, but I have so in my cheese drawer at home, I have just little nubs of stuff. So you take
just
all
like
the nubs
And
and
you
you grate them, and it always makes the best combination, and it's always a little different. But it's also like if you're so cheese is expensive, but if you're spending money on cheese, don't throw any of it out. Like you can always add it to a
Something
sauce,
with it, right.
you know, something.
Yeah, Publix the other day. Well, they have this big. The other day, this was like Christmas time, but they have the big Parmesan wheel and then the shaved and the Parmesan bits, and that was expensive. They wanted like probably like I don't know $15 for like a little container of Parmesan that they said was from this wheel. Or you could buy $10 worth of the rinds for your stock, or I don't know. I was like, oh my gosh, that's yeah. Taste of Stilton with port wine and
Is that
sliced
at
pear.
Italy or just in general? Because it was right after she was talking about Italy.
Yeah, so Stilton and port is
Stilton's a blue, right?
one of those beautiful natural pairings. It's
Really?
also a big Christmas time thing. Stilton ripens great. It's always perfect at Christmas. And then one of the shops I worked at before Christmas, we would crack a wheel of Stilton in half and then pour port in, and so it goes through all the little
cracks.
veins. It's like super boozy. I mean, out of this world.
Port's like that, like sweet, like deep.
It's
The
like
wine
if
that
you
we never
already
really
fortified.
drink, but you cook with
Okay.
it.
But you can also like good port. You can drink.
What I think
I think
that
like
my
cooking sherry is like
oh yeah
less.
I feel like my mind is going to the port cheese that they sell
Oh,
at the
yeah.
grocery store. That's
Yeah.
like that pink,
Weird purple. Yeah,
like Play-Doh
Yeah.
consistency, and
it is like Play-Doh.
yeah,
This cup's making this brown ale look like motor oil.
it is.
In the
It is motor oil. I'll be back in
It's got that like sheen, that like rainbow sheen to it. It's just like
It's like carnival glass.
not translucent, but like whatever it's called.
Yeah,
I can't think of the name of it now.
iridescent.
Yeah. It just looks like motor oil. It's brown ale. It's pretty dark.
Yeah.
Aged port wine, 20-year-old stuff. But does it count as aged if it's not in a barrel? Because I've heard something similar with like liquor, that it's like once you take it out of the
then it
barrels,
stops,
the glass,
right.
it isn't really like doing anything.
That makes sense.
So I don't know if it's the same for wine. Because some wine, well, I guess most white, if it's in stainless, some do oak. I don't know.
I
Too
don't
much.
know.
Just too much to know.
I guess if you're like with bourbon or something, if it's a 10-year, it has to be 10 years old when it's bottled.
But I think
then-
that means 10 years in a barrel.
Right. And then so I wonder if I don't know if they do vintages, if you could tell you got a 2019 10-year, so it's really 13 years, or if that matters. I don't know.
Like I've tried, I'm not a bourbon person. Like what I've been told is like some of the best bourbon, and I'm like, it just tastes like a shot of Aristocrat almost. Like not quite, it's a little smoother, but I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Not that it gets people that do love it, it's just not for me. But that's like with everything. Some people love certain things and I don't like it, and vice versa. It's like everyone's taste bud's different, and that's why there's so many different choices.
Yeah.
So I'm not I try my best to not be like a judgy, like foodie, drinky person.
Yeah.
Because I like IPAs. Like I'm drinking a brown ale now and I enjoy it, but I would never buy a brown ale. I'd normally just buy an IPA.
Right. Well, I think that's a good approach. That there's like, I always think like every cheese has its place, like,
In my mouth. That's its place. That's where it should be.
But I never think anybody should feel,
We'll go get her. We're
Self-conscious.
winding down. Get all the dogs in here for...
I want to see David.
what about Bobby?
And Bobby. But I feel like David and I have a history.
Oh. Well, I don't know about it.
No, I just, just had fun with Dave last time. No, but what I was saying, I feel like keeping a good perspective and like you never want somebody to feel self-conscious about a cheese that they like. If
It's the love of your life.
it's like Monterey Jack or something. Hi, David. He's a good girl.
Dave, hey,
It's like, oh,
get us nicely. You can have some.
can I give her a little nibble?
Yeah, of course.
Girl. I know, and I like little ears too. She's really got a nose on her.
What are you smelling, Dave? The scones, the honey? Want to try the honey? No, too sweet? You got a little bit. Should have the honey. With the scone? Yes.
Like her stature is so, her neck is so thick. Like our dog is like a big gangly. He's just big and gangly.
Is it a pit bull of sorts?
No, he's a lab terrier, like a big terrier, but he's tall and strange looking with wire hair. But he's just built totally differently. Nice big neck.
Yeah, we usually, even though I know you're supposed to eat the rinds for most of them, if we don't, the dogs get them, so they don't go to waste.
Yeah.
You know, Mika's excited when her other ear starts to stand up. It normally doesn't. She's like, wait, what? What am I missing on?
So when do y'all leave for Philadelphia?
Friday afternoon.
Okay.
So I was about to be like, thank you to everybody
sorry.
who's stuck around. If you were still there, it still says there's some viewers. Hearing us chat, talk, enjoy cheese and butter and dogs and life. This is your February Cheese Talk Live with your cheese queen, Maggie from Truckle, Cheesemonger.
Ready?
Yep, here come the other puppies.
Oh my goodness.
Bobby.
We'll probably keep hanging out for a little bit.
Bobby's got crazy eyes, Alex.
Oh boy. She gets like puppy zoomies and just like goes
Yeah,
crazy.
you like this like look in her eye where she's just ready to go.
David, no. Hey.
Hortwine. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Congrats
Thank you.
to the Hortons for winning
Yeah.
cheese.
Yay, Horton.
If convenient,
Everybody sign up now.
I would love to do this again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was super
I do it
fun.
every month because
Dave.
this is super fun and delicious and amazing and cute. Whoa, whoa.
Bye, guys.
Are we signing off? I was just saying bye just so people wouldn't feel like.
Oh, I thought you were
We're
like
just-
ready to go.
Well,
I'm fine. I'm chilling.
we can keep hanging out. Also, I know Maggie has a family.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And
It's
it's
like
almost
almost 9
9.
o'clock.
Yeah,
It's a good
but
2 hours.
we just got the dogs out, so she'll probably stick around for a minute. The scone is so soft.
Yeah.
I can't stop eating it.
What's their name again? The
Flower garden.
Flower Garden, but FLOUR. What's your husband's favorite cheese?
He really likes blues. So if I'm doing a board just for the two of us, we do a lot of blues. Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, I always am able to overcome it, but sometimes like the thought of blue cheese, like the idea of it's just molding, it weirds me out.
I don't care. It tastes too good.
I know I'm able to
Yeah.
overcome it, but does that ever happen to you?
I understand.
Get it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Bobby.
She does that air licking
Hey,
thing.
Bobby.
Can I give her a little nub? Bobby, you want cheese? Cheese? Come.
That's probably her first piece of cheese in her life.
Oh, wow.
No.
It's her first
Good cheese.
good piece
Good
of cheese in her life.
Good cheese. Oh, man.
I could eat a lot of that scone. I don't know why it's hidden. Probably game.
There's something so nice about scones because they're not so sweet.
It's like you expected like a biscuit where it's almost dry and it's not.
Yeah.
Is it because it's full of butter?
And it's like butter. I don't know if it's like it got that baking soda kind of
Yeah.
bite to it, you know?
Yeah.
Like I went to the gym this morning, had a great workout,
Proud of you.
came home to get some work done, and had a cup of coffee, and I was like,
Nico.
well, I'll just have a little scone.
Might as well throw some butter
Nico.
on there.
You know, and I was like, well, what was the point of that? I was like, well, it's so that I can enjoy scones.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know?
It's the quality of life. It's, yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
See, I need the first part. I don't work out and then I just eat scones.
No. There's nothing wrong with that either.
I have 4 new best friends. Wait. Oh. Oh yeah.
Would you eat cheese from a gas station?
Like packaged cheese?
I guess so, yeah.
No, raw milk cheese from the
No.
back.
I guess I'm thinking of like gas station sushi is like a big no-no, but gas station cheese. What about the cheese? What about the cheese that comes like pre-packaged in the same thing as like the Slim Jim, but not refrigerated? They're just like shrink wrapped together.
I can't, no.
You wouldn't do that.
Like
cheese that doesn't
Who
need
can
to be
know?
refrigerated like nacho cheese. Would you eat nacho cheese ever?
I can't.
You want to try
They're
some?
always no. She said no. They're always orange. Always orange ones.
So, you know, when you go to the vet and they always have the canned cheese?
Oh, like the squeezed
Yeah.
cheese. Yeah, yeah. That's kind of gross. That's kind of gross. Hi. You're cute.
Oh.
Well, like in Philly when they do the cheesesteak with or without, like the cheese whiz, is that just nacho cheese or that's different?
No, Cheese Whiz I think is like the
The can, right?
yeah.
But
I
there
think
is some
nacho's like
sort of-
spiced a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would prefer to have other cheese in my cheesesteak, not Cheese Whiz.
Provolone, American.
What's the best like Swiss you've had? I really love a good Swiss.
I only have Swiss from the grocery store and it tastes like nothing.
I
Yeah,
love it.
I agree with
I
that.
hate it. It's boring. I don't hate
like a
it.
baby Swiss.
But it's
Is
But you-
Jarlsberg considered a Swiss?
I think it's actually, I think we looked this up last time. It's actually like Swedish or.
Okay.
But I mean, I think you do like a nice Emmentaler, or there's a Romtaler, which is Emmentaler, but they use full fat milk instead of skimming it. Because apparently in the 6th century, there was too much butter. So they were like, stop skimming the milk. Just
Too
add it
much
in.
butter.
It was like when I read about it, it was like there was the
seems
butter
like
glut of 1565.
Horrible.
Anyway. But yeah, I think that's your phase up from grocery store Swiss.
And even provolone, like the grocery store stuff, is so mild. It's
Yeah.
like it's still better than Swiss, where it has more flavor.
Yeah.
But is there like craft Swiss that'll like change my mind about Swiss? All right, just checking.
It's mild, but it's not provolone mild. I think provolone has no taste.
There's actually, so like on the, talking about cultures and how they change the flavor of cheese, there's a specific culture that's added to cheeses like provolone, and the term for it is like this culture gives the flavor of, it's like baby vomit. So it's like acidified milk, like if a baby drank milk and
Yeah.
then threw it up. But then next time you taste provolone, you'll
That's
be
what I'm
like,
gonna
that's
taste.
like baby vomit. Yeah.
You You know, it doesn't taste like baby vomit. It's nice.
I don't think Prevalent does. We should just live stream that because Dogs Plain is the best.
Have you ever been to Wisconsin?
I'm not.
Aren't they the cheeseheads? Is that where? Yeah. That's
Yeah.
Where April was from.
Well, that whole area is big into cheese, but even New York has like cheese curds.
Yep.
Squeaky. Squeaky, squeaky.
Cute. Okay, I'm out of questions.
You're not, but it's been 2 hours. Maybe next month?
Yeah.
I'm down anytime you are.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. This is fun.
Well, thanks again to everybody.
everybody.
Yeah.
Truckle Cheesemongers. I'm sure you can see it's how it's spelled. Truckle Cheesemonger.
Mongers.
Ers.
Join their club. We do the 6 month on repeat because I don't want to live a month without it. Ever.
Yeah, we.
I asked her if I was emailing with her or text. I was like, "Do you have a lifetime membership?" Like, it doesn't even need to be cheaper. I just don't want to have to like do an extra step of like renewing.
Yeah.
He lives a life of convenience.
I do.
Oh no.
All right, see you guys next month for cheese. We'll see.